Yo guys, it's slyroh. You already know that today I am here to recap week 11 of my 2025 video game backlog journey. Link in the description if you need a full explanation of this video and all of the games on this backlog list. But this is the 11th week that I've done that I have done this, which is kind of crazy. That's like, we're over like 1/5 of the way, or like about 1/5 of the way. Like that's kind of wild, kind of nuts, a little crazy. I try not to think about that too much. But yeah, let's go ahead and recap the week. As always, I will go over what happened the previous week. Then I will dive a little deeper into each of the games that I played, and then a little bit of a preview for next week. Last week, I feel like I did, like the last video I recorded, the week before that, for that one, I felt like I'd played a lot of games, but nothing really changed on the spreadsheet here. This week, I feel like I played less games overall, but I definitely have a decent amount of stuff to update and change and whatnot to the spreadsheet. So, the games that were in progress are Fable, Anniversary, Ghost of Tsushima, and Jak 2. Jak 2 has been completed. I beat that Wednesday. Fantastic. We can go ahead and take off those 18 hours, and we are now down to 1,128 hours left. That's not what I put. Hello? How did that work? Oh, I guess you can't use that number? Okay, maybe I have like numlock on or something. Either way, that is what we're on now. So yeah, Jak 2 has been completed. Ghost of Tsushima and Fable Anniversary have not been completed. I have not started a new game from this. However, there's one new game, but I'm going to put two on the list because there's some new games to keep our eye on. So I brought up the possibility of playing Split Fiction. That is a game that is from the creators of It Takes Two. Let's just, do a little bit of that. So we'll put this one as in progress. And I'm actually playing this on PlayStation. Yeah, it's from the creators of It Takes Two. It is a co-op game, meaning that I can only play this if I have somebody to play it with. So I got my boy RTK to play with me, and we have started playing. I'm gonna put like 3 hours here. We've only played, what the heck? Why do you not let me use the little number pad? You just keep freaking out on me. We've played literally once, but we plan on playing this evening. So hopefully, yeah, we'll keep playing more. Split Fiction is a game that, because it is reliant on me having somebody else to play with, if I don't make any meaningful progress, I probably won't bring it up that much in future videos, only when I make significant progress. This isn't something that I can like play at a faster or a slower pace because it is dependent on RTK's free time. But I can go ahead and add that. And then I have not started to play this game yet, though I definitely will this week, so I'm going to go ahead and add it. And that is Wander Stop. I believe I brought that up last week. It is from the creator of the Stanley Parable, and it is out now. So I'm going to purchase it and start playing it at some point. So yeah, so this past week there was definitely a few days that I really did not game at all. Sunday I really didn't put any time into games. Same thing Wednesday, not really too much. Thursday, not too much. So, and some of the times that I did, it was in like very small spurts. I feel like last Saturday was the time I spent like the most time. And then just a couple things here or there. So I feel like I had less gaming hours overall, but, a decent amount of stuff happening. So, yeah, there really wasn't anything crazy. I was getting over a sickness last week around this time. It has mostly gone away. I don't really feel any sort of sickness anymore, which is fantastic. And these games are also compatible with the fact that I've continued my 2 YouTube series. I'm working on a ranking list in the background that I've been getting footage for. So I won't tell you about that yet, but hopefully I should start finalizing that and make a video out of that within a couple weeks. We shall see. So yeah, plenty of stuff going on, but nothing like real noteworthy to put in this section. I feel this week has taught me a few lessons, as well as made me question some things about myself in terms of what I do and don't like about games, but I feel like that's better served in the section where I dive into each individual game. So let's go ahead and just dive into each of these games. I'm not going to talk about Wander Stop because I haven't actually started playing it, so the first time I bring that up will be next week, so I'll let you know my thoughts on that then. But for this week, let's start with Split Fiction, actually, because I feel like I have the least amount to say about it. It is from the creators of It Takes Two. It Takes Two was my game of the year for 2021, or whichever year it came out. I don't know if I still hold by that. I'd have to look at all the other games that have that came out that year that I've played. But I know at the time it was my game of the year. I know it won game of the year, and it was a really fun time. I do remember playing it with RTK on the channel. I think it was one of those that we bounced between both of our channels. So that series actually might be able to be watched still. I don't super remember, I'm gonna be honest, but that was a really fun time, and the developers are very good at just making fun games, mostly platformers, but they really mess with the genre a little bit, or just like the styles. It's not just like the same thing over and over and over. But right now, I mean, I'm just at the beginning of the game. You play as these two authors who go to a company to try and like get their books or ideas published, but the company has a weird way of doing it where they have these like suits, and they want you to get into a bubble so they can sort of like visualize, and I guess that's supposed to help pitch, convince them that your ideas are like worth funding or whatever. But pretty early on you find that really they're just trying to see as many different people's ideas as possible, or see as many different people's ideas as possible, so that way they can steal them and profit off them. Corporation's gonna corporate. So that is sort of the setup for the game. One of the main characters is like, gets a little bit of bad vibes, starts to change her mind at the last second, ends up falling into a bubble of the other main character, and so there's two of them inside of one, which is like not supposed to happen. And because the company doesn't have like extensive use of this technology yet, they don't want to like mess with it. They're not sure, like nobody's ever done that before. And so we play as these authors, kind of diving into their own worlds. Some are more fleshed out than others, and just sort of figuring how to get out and working together along the way. And I feel like it definitely continues the momentum that It Takes Two had in terms of the platforming being very tight, very precise, very fun. I say precise, not like it's precise like it's very hard, like it's very like it's clean and tight. Like the controls are very, very good, and it feels very satisfying to play. I'm still very much in the early stages, so it is pretty basic platforming stuff, but I know and trust that the developers are going to add a lot of interesting elements to the gameplay as I move forward. So I'm very, very excited for Split Fiction. I have been told by at least 3 different people at this point that I need to play it, including one from a friend of mine who isn't even like a huge gamer, and he's just like, hey, I've been playing this Split Fiction game, it's really good. So everybody's telling me that it is very good, and that is, so I have pretty high expectations for Split Fiction. The next game that I'm going to go ahead and talk about, I'm going to touch in on Fable Anniversary, because I don't have a lot to say about it. I have added maybe an extra hour and a half of playtime over this past week. And I don't know, I had a session where I was just kind of playing through it, and it was already kind of starting to lose its luster a little bit. Like, I feel like it has these like side quests, but I'm not really engaging that much. I know there's like stuff you can do, like buy houses and like get married and stuff like that, and I'm like, I haven't really like engaged with any of that. There's like some side quests that I couldn't figure out like what to do. I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm almost speedrunning the main quest, and I don't know. I feel like I'm like missing a lot, but maybe I'm able to like, double back and catch up on stuff. I just feel like I'm progressing through the game like really quickly. So we'll see how that works. I definitely could see Fable Anniversary not really taking that long, depending on how quickly I continue to play through it. Like, I'm just not really getting stuck in an area, and like the map is, growing like rapidly. So yeah, I still like it, but the like rose tinted glasses that I was looking at it from my initial like starting to play it, I feel like it's starting to wear off, and now I'm kind of seeing it, I'm just like, I don't know. I was like, this game's good, or is it? I don't know. I need to play more. So we'll see. But yeah, there's that. Then I'm gonna go ahead and touch in on Ghost of Tsushima, because I was definitely trying to put some more hours into it. I think I'm probably somewhere in the 34 to 36 hours of playtime range. I decided to engage with the DLC that comes with the complete edition that is available on PlayStation Plus Premium, and you go to this other island and you do some quests there, but it definitely changed up the gameplay enough that gets me really excited for a Ghost of Tsushima sequel, because they're messing with things that I didn't really even consider, in terms of like adding like the horse to like combat. You can like charge enemies on your horse now, which is pretty cool. The story setup is a little bit different, as the main character gets like poisoned, and it's like seeing visions and hearing voices and confronting things in his past, and it's just done in a different way than what the main game was. And so it feels different enough while still being grounded in the same gameplay like reality, that it is really fun to play through, just like everything Ghost of Tsushima has been. I do still get a sense of like, man, I feel like I've been playing this game a while, but I am still having fun. I do expect to be able to finish the DLC, and then I'll probably just kind of beeline a lot of the main quest to the end. I do feel like I'm getting towards the end, and hopefully I can be done with it within a week or two. There's no way that I could still be playing this game for more than 2 weeks. I just refuse to believe that is a possibility. But yeah, so I'm trying to balance like feeling the urge to just like, mainline it through to the end, while also trying to make sure that I'm enjoying everything that I'm playing, and I'm not rushing the experience of just having fun, because games are supposed to have fun. All right, so let's talk about the big one, because Jak 2. I have beat Jak 2, and I feel like I have so many conflicting thoughts, because Jak 2 does so many things like wrong in terms of how I thought that I like to engage with games. It can be pretty tedious. It can be very difficult. There are some times where the checkpoints don't seem like it's nearly as close as you would want them to be. You will get very far in a mission, and then I would like die and then have to start all over, and it would get really frustrating. But I like could not, like, every time I stopped playing it, I was like, I want to play more, I want to play again. Or I would get through a really annoying mission, and then within a couple minutes I'd be like, actually that wasn't that bad. And this game made me rage like really hard at a couple missions. It got me so frustrated. There were definitely some times, there wasn't that much that I had to look up like actual help, but there were definitely some times where I was so frustrated that I just looked up the mission to like, just to hear my frustration be validated by like strangers on the internet. If I look up a mission, it's not that I need help with it, it's just like, hey, this mission sucks, does anybody else agree? Like, and so sometimes like I was doing that like a decent amount, and I was like, yeah, I was really frustrated, but I never felt like I wanted to stop playing. Like in total, it's never felt like something that I wanted to like drop completely. Even when I was at the final boss, and I knew I was at the final boss, because I was comparing it to what happened with Psychonauts, where I got to like kind of the very end, and I was like, I didn't really feel like finishing it out. And Jak 2, I was like, I'm at the final boss, I could do the same thing here, but I never really had the urge to stop it. I was like, I wanted to see it through to the end. This game really just gave me that desire that I wanted to see it through, and I feel so much better for seeing it through, and it was so enjoyable. And so many of these quests, like literally, even though I raged really hard at them, I look back and I'm like, yeah, I do that again. Like, yeah, that was really fun. And I'm not sure how Jak 2 managed to do that. I am gonna end up being a big defender of this game, because one thing that I know about myself is a lot of like frustrations when it comes to just like difficult missions or a hard boss fight or things like that. That kind of starts to fade with time. Your memory gets a little blurry. You kind of weed out some of the bad experiences and remember the good experiences. And sometimes, if you just really don't like a game, sometimes you forget some of the good experiences and only focus on the bad. But Jak 2, I feel like I'm already like, I know in my heart of hearts, I know that there were some missions that made me so angry and so frustrated, and I wanted to like throw my controller and delete the game. But like, as I sit here now, I'm just like, I had an incredible experience, and I thought it was really fun, and I love Jak 2. I don't know how this has happened. Jak 2 is a difficult game, and I feel like I have grown less patient over time. But there was so many of these missions that I really just was patient. I, was not afraid to try and fail, and try again and fail again and try again. And the cycle kept continuing, but like, I made progress. I beat it, and I feel really satisfied with that. I'm really excited to play Jak 3 eventually, because the only thing I know about it, based on what I have looked up of Jak 2, is that Jak 3 is just not as hard. So I don't even know how similar the gameplay is, but I just know that it's not as hard. And I really like the vision that Jak 2 had, because it is like a 3D platformer, but it also focuses a lot around the combat as well. And I think maybe that's one thing that did sort of gravitate me towards Jak 2, is I think maybe I don't like puzzles as much as I think I do, because Jak 2 is not really a puzzle platformer. There's not a lot of figuring out what you need to do or where you need to go. It's kind of go to the icon on the map and then just like fight through enemies or fight through like whatever. It's not the exact same type of setup. Sometimes you're in like this mech suit, sometimes you're on rails like shooting, sometimes it's a boss fight. Like it has different ways, and there are platform elements for sure, but it's not like a lot of puzzles figuring out like where to go. It's kind of just like it gives you the challenge, you just have to figure out how to overcome the challenge. And in that sense, I kind of understand why I gravitate towards Jak 2, because that is some of my favorite games, are the ones where it's not about figuring out what to do, but the challenge is figuring out how to get past the obstacle that is very clearly in your way. So yeah, I hope I touched on all of the things that I wanted to with Jak 2. It's just a strange experience. I feel like I should be on here saying how much I hated it, especially when I compare it to my journey with Psychonauts, where I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like most people would say that Psychonauts is a better game, and I don't know. I don't know that I feel that way, like at all. And I'm trying to rationalize like why that is, because I beat like the final boss with Jak 2. I actually had a thought. I was like, maybe I'd go back and try and finish out Psychonauts. I literally turned on Psychonauts, looked at the screen for like 5 seconds, and I was like, nah, this ain't it. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think going back to Psychonauts and beating it is gonna happen. But Jak 2 was able to like give me like what I was looking for, I guess. I don't know. I'm very surprised. Jak 2 has definitely been the biggest surprise so far. Most of the games that I put on this list, I put on because I am like 99% sure that I'm going to like them. I kind of, there's a reason that there's only like 50 games on this list and not like, or like, what was this, 59 games on this list and not like 200. It's because I didn't put on, you know, like I was very, very specific as to what made it on this list, and I assume that I'm going to like everything I put. Jak 2 is Jak 2 and Jak 3 are some of the only ones on this list where I'm like, I'm kind of playing it just because I played the first one and I'm curious about them. And so, yeah, like, that's why I say that it's definitely one of the biggest surprises, because I didn't put it on the list feeling that I was definitely going to like it. I definitely thought there was a chance that I was going to hate it. But yeah, Jak 2, fantastic. Over time, I'm probably going to even sing its praises even more, because I'm going to forget just a lot of the negatives, and there definitely are some negatives, I can assure you. But if I do end up doing like a ranking for this spreadsheet, and I rank the games that I played from worst to best, Jak 2 is going to be so much higher than it has any right to be. But I can't deny that it really helped remind me why I enjoy video games, and that I don't, it's not that I just need to enjoy the same type of video game over and over again, because I would stop playing and then I would be so excited to play again the next day or a couple hours later or whatever. Or I would like turn on the game with the intention of doing like one mission, and then I would do like 5 more. Like I don't know. It was just something that I can't explain, but I thought it was really, really good. So that, I believe, is going to be wrap up and sort of touch on everything that I've played this past week. So now I will go ahead and give a little bit of a sneak preview for the next week. There aren't any big events happening. I actually have this weekend pretty free, and I do expect to put a lot of time into my games this weekend. Specifically, I think a lot of that energy is going to be focused on Ghost of Tsushima. I really do think that if I put a decent amount of time in this weekend, I should be able to beat it by next week. And if I don't, then I have to be very, very close, and there's no way that I'm still playing this game more than 2 weeks from now. So that is going to be where a lot of my energy goes. I definitely plan on playing Fable, you know, every now and then. Split Fiction, it just depends on RTK's schedule. Wanderstop, I definitely want to try at least a little bit, and I already have my eye on the next game that definitely will be started, and that is going to end up being The Last of Us Part 2, because I saw they're like went out with trailers and stuff for the season 2 of the HBO show. I don't know how similar that show is going to be to the game, if they're going to take the story in the same direction, if they're going to cover everything that's in part 2, or if they're going to stretch the show out to be even more and more seasons, because I know a little bit about The Last of Us Part 2, and I know there's a lot of stuff, specifically story stuff, that happened in part 2. So I don't know how that's going to work with the show, but I definitely want to play the game before the show comes out so I can, you know, be as knowledgeable as possible. So yeah, so that is definitely going to be the next game that I start playing. I don't know when that's going to happen because, like I said, I'm going to focus a lot of my efforts onto Ghost of Tsushima. I want to try Wanderstop to see how it is, and I will not forget Fable Anniversary because I don't like to let myself go more than a couple days without at least turning on a game, because then I'll start forgetting the mechanics, forgetting what I'm doing, and just put it to the side and forget about it, and I don't want that to happen. So that is kind of where I'm going to divide my time. I don't expect any other games to be added on in terms of like starting to play, but I could be wrong. It just depends on how I feel. I still see plenty of games that need to be played, and I'm excited to get through and play these. You know, on one hand, there's still a lot left to play. On the other hand, you know, we're still only in March, and there's still plenty of time. So that is where I'm at right now. Hopefully I covered everything that I wanted to talk about. If you have any questions about how I'm feeling, or comments about any of the games or anything of the sort, please feel free to let me know. But I will be back a week from now to recap week 12. That's going to be really exciting, and I hope you're looking forward to it. So I will see you next week. Goodbye.